Inklings are strong, and I feel like people forget that. Even people who are very into the Splatoon mythos and community. I have seen time and time again, people saying that they could beat an Inkling. Just throw some salt water at them, they say. They only have ink, they say. But that's just wrong. I mean, it's not wrong, but they're not right. The whole exploding as soon as they touch water thing is a little bit more nuanced than that, as it seems that salt water is the main one that hurts them due to their thin skin. And yes, I know that a lot of maps have fresh water in it and Inklings will explode, but that's more game mechanic versus lore. To be honest, the more I read and the more videos and theories I watch, it seems like people can't fully decide if it is just salt water. It seems that most people agree, but some don't. My point in this is that you're not going to kill an Inkling by throwing a cup of water at their face. As the one consistent thing is that they need to be fully submerged to be splatted. Something that would in fact be quite an ordeal. My point is, there is no reason to believe any normal human could beat an average Inkling. Inklings are able to withstand a volley of punishment, and if you think that a bullet would kill them because ink can, newsflash buddy, this is the same ink we see destroying heavy machinery, spaceships, monsters, hell, even a big wooden crate is a crazy thing for a liquid-based projectile to destroy. I am not smart enough to do the proper calculations to figure out the exact force that would be needed to break something like a wooden crate with a liquid-based projectile, but it is safe to say these are sturdy crates, looking more like industrial-grade shipping crates and being about 5 feet tall when compared to an Inkling, meaning that at minimum it would need to at least be a couple thousand pounds of pressure to shatter the crates in the manner that it does in game. Meaning this ink is able to shoot at a speed and force that far surpasses any typical firearm, and might put it in more of the range of heavy artillery, or at least getting towards heavy artillery. So the fact that an Inkling can be hit with as many shots as they do without breaking a sweat is crazy, at least when compared to an average person who would probably get turned into a pile of bony mush if they were struck with one of these ink-based attacks. And on top of all of that, Inklings can be really fast, especially when they're in ink, though I guess they do walk kinda slow. And their mobility out and inside of ink is higher than any average human, unless everyone starts becoming professional gymnasts. Then even landing a hit on an Inkling would be a task in its own right. Yes, I know that was a lot of information. I just want to get across the fact that Inklings are so much stronger than people care to give them credit for. Even the fact that they can just throw around these huge weapons like they're made of cardboard should be proof enough to their inherent superhuman strength. Glad Inklings don't have gym bro culture, because a swole Inkling does sound like something from my nightmares. I tell you all this in preparation for a question. With all that strength, and it being spooky season, I was wondering what slashers could an Inkling beat? Yes, I'm aware how random this question is, but I needed a Halloween video and I'm really busy right now. For rules, our Inkling will have the most generic kit possible. Giving them the option for any weapon or kit combo would honestly be too powerful, so it's only fair that we restrict them. In this case, they will have a splatter shot with Burst Bomb and Trizooka, giving them a high range burst option alongside a pretty well-rounded base weapon. As for the slashers, I will only be focusing on one continuity / canon, though I do accidentally forget about that for one character. However, I do go back and fix it by the end. And besides that, all battles will be a 1v1, so no outside help whatsoever. Just the character and whatever is considered their primary weapon. As for tiers, at the top we have Inkling Sweep. Our Inkling just demolishes them. Pretty good fight, they put up a pretty good fight, but ultimately lose. 50-50, it could go either way. Barely loses, our Inkling is going to lose, but they put up one hell of a fight. Calamari, they die. I'm going to try to be completely unbiased here, because to be fully frank, I like horror more than Splatoon. Yes, I know, that is probably baffling to y'all. Dexter Morgan. To be frank, Dexter really shouldn't be here, but this video idea is heavily inspired off Movie Critics Club and his series of ranking different killers and all that jazz, with Dexter here being a big part of that, so it felt appropriate. That said, he dies. First off, Inklings don't really fit Dexter's code at all, especially since we are assuming our Inkling is likely an agent and therefore is literally Splatoon's equivalent to basically a superhero. Let's assume for some reason Dexter is after our Inkling. Well, he's still fucked. Inklings are incredibly fast with crazy reflexes, so the idea that Dexter gets one by surprise is almost laughable. But even if he does, we have to remember he tranks his victims, which, considering the very different biology between mammals and cephalopods, plus the fact that these are humanoid cephalopods, can't say for sure if it would have an effect at all. Maybe it would knock them out, maybe it does nothing, and if it doesn't do anything, he's dead. He is not subduing an Inkling in hand-to-hand combat. Dexter isn't a slouch in that category. He is pretty strong and has some decent reflexes, but not that good. He's not superhuman. And even then, an Inkling might just be able to go into squid form on his table, slip out, and kick his butt regardless. It'd be interesting, but he ultimately loses. Hannibal Lector. This one might be a bit unfair, as I have not seen the Hannibal TV show and therefore only have the movies to go off of, but I doubt they would make a big difference, as while Hannibal is a cunning and diabolical mind, he is not much of a fighter. Sure, he has taken down some officers, but he used a mix of his intelligence, their underestimation of him, and his sheer brutality to escape that situation. But brutality does not inherently mean strength. And in Inkling 100% no diffs this man. Even if he somehow tied one up, between their squid anatomy and sheer strength, it wouldn't make much of a difference. Sorry, Lecter gets swept. Norman Bates also dies. He is an interesting killer, but at the same time, he really is just a dude with split personality disorder and mommy issues. He ain't beating a superhuman squid person. As I said earlier, we will be looking at Billy and Stu for our Ghostface fight. They also die, but I'll talk a little bit more about them. I know this one might piss some people off, but Ghostface just ain't that strong. I mean, he's two just dudes. They normally use a mix of stalking and scare attacks to get their victims alone, and in a situation where they have the upper hand by default. However, that won't work on an Inkling. These creatures are way too stupid to be scared like that, and would probably just grab them and start beating the shit out of them for even attempting it. And if you think a 2v1 means anything, you have to consider the fact that Inklings basically run war simulations for fun. So yeah, sorry guys, you're getting murdered. William Afton. Okay, this might be more of a fight. William Afton is a lot stronger than people think, at least strong enough to throw a grown man like 20 feet away, which is impressive in its own right, but he is also canonically strong enough to tear apart animatronics, already putting him at least peak human. And once he spring chop, his already superhuman strength is boosted and he becomes borderline immortal, kind of. It's complicated. And I'm paraphrasing a lot here, but my point is, like Inklings, spring chop is a lot stronger than people realize, which makes this fight difficult to judge. Editing garden here. Yeah, if you couldn't tell, I somehow already forgot my Roper ranking only one incarnation, but only for Afton. Regardless, I ranked Afton in pretty good fight / 50-50, I couldn't really decide, but that was because I was ranking all incarnations of him combined, which I didn't do for anyone else. So if I'm ranking just movie Afton, like I meant to, then he goes into swept tier. I mean, he's just a dude. A strong dude, but not Inkling strong. If this little pinch to the ribs can kill him, I think an Inkling's going to have a field day. So I'll ignore his placement for now, I fix it at the end. Michael Myers. For Michael, we will be using the first 3 movies, as those are the only ones I've really seen. I mean, the first 3 with Michael Myers. I'm not talking about the Season of the Witch. And, well, he certainly is strong and durable, being able to take some bullets, fall from big heights, and just keep on going. His strength is definitely quite impressive, being able to crush skulls, lift himself up with just one freaking arm, and pin people to walls with a kitchen knife. Ooh. However, at least in the first couple of movies, he's still a mortal man. Supposedly. Don't know what mortal man is surviving this. I suppose that's why he's the boogeyman. But a man nonetheless, and he has not faced anything nearly as strong as an Inkling. I think a good Trizuka and his bones are toast. However, his persistence and intelligence might allow him to get in a few good licks, and allow him to at least prove why the people of Haddonfield call him the boogeyman. So I'll put him in pretty good fights. Now that one's gonna piss people off. This is a hard one. You see, the thing about Chucky is that everything's canon. Not a single movie, besides that shitty reboot everyone forgot about, disgusting, is canon, and that means Chucky has probably the most varied arsenal. The fact that he has the strength of a full-grown man in a tiny, durable doll body, and can come back from near destruction as long as at least a part of him survives. The little fuck is like the cockroach of slashers, and is finding a way to weasel his way back from absolute destruction. But that's only if the circumstances align for something like that to happen. And I said no outside assistance, so multiple Chuckies ain't gonna cut it, or Tiffany, or any of that junk. This is going to be a 1v1 situation, and Chucky has been quote-unquote defeated several times, and complete destruction of his physical form can negate his ability to regenerate proper. And Chucky really doesn't have any crazy physical feats. Well, maybe crazy for a doll, but not crazy for a full-grown man. Chucky simply isn't strong enough. I don't think it's a wash, but Chucky would need to figure out a way to overpower an Inkling, and that would be an uphill battle. So I'm gonna put him next to Michael. Freddy is a weird slasher. One of the most unique to this day, and while he is more than defeatable, you kinda need to outsmart him first, tricking him into the real world before you can really do any lasting damage, and I simply do not think our Inkling would be able to do that. Also, sometimes that doesn't even work. If Chuck is a cockroach and Freddy's a full-on bug tornado. That said, if they could find a good way to bring him into the real world, then of course the Inkling wins. Freddy outside of people's dreams is still superhuman to a degree. I mean, he was able to fight Jason Voorhees. That's all I really gotta say there. But I still think an Inkling would be able to defeat him then. However, Dream Freddy is a different beast entirely, and would be able to overwhelm any form of superhuman regeneration, strength, or abilities that an Inkling gets from its unique anatomy. I mean, he was almost able to kill Jason in the dream world. As active as that movie can be, it is a clear indicator that in the dream world, Freddy can overwhelm even supernatural beings. Which is why I'll be putting him in our first calamari tier, Leatherface. He also dies. Leatherface is stronger than most people, and is certainly crazy. He's just a big dude with a chainsaw. And while he is quite durable and might be able to take a few hits, he is not nearly as strong as someone like Michael Myers, and nevertheless an Inkling. Yeah, I think he gets pretty sufficiently beaten. The man I've been waiting to talk about. Jason Voorhees. Friday the 13th is another franchise that was pretty consistent with its lore, mostly being in one timeline, until its eventual reboot. Jason is probably one of the most consistently strong slashers here, having the most notable feats of pure strength, being able to punch a head right off of somebody's body, or survive an entire space station exploding while he's inside. Yes, I am in fact taking into account Jason X. It is technically a part of the main continuity. Don't you at me. Not to mention that he has some of the most apparent and on-the-nose supernatural abilities besides Chucky and Freddy, being able to essentially teleport and make zero sound while stalking, alongside being borderline unkillable. I don't think an Inkling would just die outright. They are incredibly strong and durable in their own right, and Jason has been incapacitated many times before, though typically a big factor in doing so comes down to quick thinking and clever decision making, often having to trick Jason in order to simply incapacitate him, nevertheless kill him. Sure, he has been killed before, however that was in Jason Goes to Hell, which is considered less canon than the movie where Jason goes to frickin' space, so just let that sink in. Plus, even if we consider that movie a part of the main continuity, he still came back and had to be killed with like a sacred plot device dagger or some bullcrap. There's also that time that Tommy killed him, but he kind of came back. And then there's the reboot, but we aren't even considering those, so. Regardless, my point is, even if an Inkling broke every bone in his body, it is not unreasonable to say he would likely just keep going, and eventually would inevitably win. I'm putting Jason in the probably lose tier, because I don't think an Inkling could beat him, but would put up one hell of a fight. And I assure you, just like the other slashers, this is completely unbiased. Yeah. Okay, I might have made a few adjustments, but overall I am quite happy with this list. But what do you think? Did I over or undersell our Inkling's power? Or did I accidentally make one of our slashers way too underpowered or way too overpowered? I did try my best to be unbiased, but I don't know every little facet of these characters, and I did try to only use one continuity for each, but I might have slipped up at times. It's possible. I didn't rewatch all these movies to do this list. I just kind of went with the flow. So let me know in the comments below alongside what you would change. Argue for your favorites. Comments are good in the YouTube algorithm. And while you're down there, you might as well do the YouTube thing and like, comment, and subscribe. I already said that. With that, I hope you all have a happy Halloween, or a random day of the week if I didn't get this out on time, or you're watching this literally any other day of the year. And before I go, I would like to thank my YouTube members Best Pro Gaming and Zenoob, alongside my $15 patrons Psyche Eclipse, Benjamin Baker, and PWRWQ. Thank you so much for the extra support. Alright, bye!